Welcome to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska on Big Cabbage Radio.
Mike Chmielewski here at Big Cabbage Radio in Palmer, Alaska. It's my great pleasure to welcome four people who are here representing, well, I'm going to let them say exactly what they're representing. Who wants to start? Who's the beginning? Yes, go for it.
Hi, my name is Inga Peterson, and I'm the Alaska FFA State President.
Whoa, State President. Okay, I've got that. And next?
Hi, I'm Emily Faulkner, and I'm the Alaska FFA State Secretary.
Okay, and over here?
Hello, I'm Levi Faulkner, and I'm the Alaska FFA State Vice President.
Okay, and?
Hi, my name is Melina Regord, and I'm the Alaska FFA State Treasurer.
Okay, so you are officers in an organization which has a statewide presence, but is also here in Palmer as well. Why don't we begin with the state president? I mean, that seems to be appropriate. And talk a little bit about, for those people who don't know what the organization is, describe it and what you do.
So FFA is a student-led organization that is based through a school program. So what that means is that members of the FFA take classes in their schools that are agriculture-related. And that may seem a little narrow, but that includes everything from vet science classes to classes about hydroponics, sustainability, botany. It's a very wide category of classes that they can take. In addition to these classes that give them a lot of knowledge about agriculture, they also are involved in a whole other leadership side of things. They focus a lot on developing their potential to be leaders in so many different categories, whether that be their community, their school, or even within the organization itself. So it's a very big program that focuses on creating individuals who are skilled in all sorts of professions, but also can go out into the world and be leaders too.
Okay, Inga, when did you first think you would want to be part of FFA? Think back to that time.
Well, I never really thought that I would ever be an FFA, actually. It wasn't something that I had a lot of people in my family ever do, or even just within my circles. Like, it just wasn't something I ever heard about. But when I was in 9th grade, I had a student advisor, and he said, you seem to be like a really, active person, and you really want to do stuff and accomplish things. I think FFA would be a good fit for you. And so I remember going into the classroom for the first time, having no idea what to expect. And I was kind of thinking, they're going to teach me how to plant a garden, and maybe I'll make some new friends. But what happened in that classroom is I was exposed to a whole entire world that I did not know exist. And I was able to find my place not only in agriculture, but within a very incredible community of people.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I'm going to ask that same question of each of you, just to see where it was that you decided, or when, or because this is helpful, I think, for listeners who might say, we know someone who might be interested.
Yeah, so my FFA journey started out when I was actually just in the 2nd grade. My father is my FFA advisor. We're based out of a homeschool program, so a little more non-traditional. I'm a chapter with no walls, so we bounce around. But I got exposed to going to different meetings and learning about all the different things like FFA offered. And so since I learned about it at such a young age, I really wanted to be at it. So I was able to join it in the 6th grade and be able to learn about different things in agriculture and really lead me on my way to what I want to do in the future. So right now I'm about to apply to University of Idaho to become an agriculture educator, and I wouldn't have had that passion or known of that passion without the FFA.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I had a somewhat similar experience to my sister. My dad was in FFA in Indianapolis, Indiana, and so once he found out that the FFA was a thing in Fairbanks, it was an immediate spark and ended up becoming a family journey, starting our own chapter. Much like my sister, I've been involved with FFA long before I donned the jacket, and it's been a life-changing experience since then.
Okay, thank you.
So my family moved up here from New York in 2015, and my sister and my family's never been very big into agriculture. We owned some land, and we had our own, hobby garden, but we didn't really do anything agriculture related. But my sister really likes horses. So when we moved up here, we found a farm that we could volunteer at, And through there, we met people that were a big part of the FFA chapter at our homeschool group. And I was too young to join. I was only 11. And I would just join her at FFA meetings. And I was like, well, these people are cool. And my sister thinks it's cool. So I'd love to join. And eventually, it became more than just, well, my sister's here and my friends are here. And it actually became a very important part of my life. And it's taught me a lot of really important skills that I would not be who I am today without it.
Okay, well, thank you all for sharing this. Now, we have a fifth person who is sort of overlooking there, and I would like to ask her a little bit about her position, and she has a somewhat different perspective on this, being the advisor.
Yes.
Name and what you do.
So my name is Taylor Nelson. I am the state FFA advisor for Alaska FFA. My background with FFA is that I grew up in a really urban area in the lower 48, and I ended up joining FFA because I thought that I wanted to be a veterinarian. And so all the way through high school, I got involved in FFA, and that shaped where I ended up going, and I ended up studying agricultural education, becoming really passionate about making sure that youth have the opportunity to showcase those skills that they have and find their passion in different career paths, whether that means they go into an animal science pathway, or they go in and become a welder or a mechanic, or they dive into marine sciences. I want to know that they've had a good basis in some leadership training and that they have the career skills they need to succeed.
Okay, now because you have a perspective that's statewide in nature, could you talk a little bit about FFA, sort of where it is? Can I go to Nome? Can I go to Gabic and find FFA?
So currently we have 18 chapters that are spread through the Kenai Peninsula, the Mat-Su Valley and Anchorage, and then up in the interior from Fairbanks to Delta to Tok currently. And so FFA can really be, those are where our current programs exist, but we actually have the potential to have programs in any school in the state of Alaska. So if there are teachers that teach science, or especially if they have any interest in teaching like animal science, plant science, natural resources education, we can actually start programs there, and then students can get involved in FFA through that, and also find ways to give back to their community. FFA is incredibly community-based. So the goal is that those students create projects or find places in their community of need, and they get involved there, and also develop career skills they can take into their life after middle or high school.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that, because that's a good overview perspective, I think, to place this particular program. I'm going to turn back to the president and ask her to think of all the projects and whatever that you have been involved with. What stands out as the most significant that you maybe even began and didn't realize it was going to be as significant as it turned out to be, of all the things you've done with FAA?
So the really incredible thing about FFA is how much it empowers a student to take anything that they are interested in and focus it, find a direction for it. And so I would have to say being able to have projects that are my own and that I can take accountability for and learn skills through has been so valuable within my FFA experience. So to be part of FFA, you have to have a supervised agricultural experience, and it can be any sort of student project. So I know people who have done stuff like taking care of their animals and dogs and making sure they're properly maintained, all the way to hydroponics and the science behind how to grow food indoors and sustain schools. So being able to have my own projects and learn through real life experiences, finding out that FFA isn't just school-based and only applies in a classroom, but can apply anywhere in the world, and any experience I have and has real application, really opened my eyes to all of the possibilities that I have. So for my supervised agricultural experience, I had an SAE. That's how we abbreviate them. We call them SAEs. And my first project was doing a newsletter for my chapter to kind of showcase what we were doing and help students find different ways that they can be active in the community. And that opened my eyes to just all of the ins and outs of communication. So how to write a newsletter, how to interview people, and how to make sure that what I had was relatable. And later on, my SAE morphed into working at a peony farm and getting to know all about that industry and really applying myself to figure out what my role in agriculture in my community could be because of that SAE. And so even now, I still have projects from my time as a high schooler in FFA that I am still active with. And every day, I am so thankful that I was encouraged by FFA to take on these projects and learn these real-life skills.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Well, obviously, I'll walk through all of the rest and ask the same kind of question. Think about the project that made a difference for you.
I've been FFA for around 7 years, and so I've had a vast majority, but one that particularly sticks out is my chapter was able to do, we started to learn about hydroponics and all the different things, and if you're not familiar with hydroponics, it's growing lettuce or different herbs in a
Liquid medium.
Yeah, liquid media. And so with water, typically running. So there's a couple different setups that you can do. One our chapter did, though, we were able to set up a huge hydroponic system in the Fairbanks Community Food Bank for about 2 years. And that one I got to learn not just by myself, but with my entire chapter, learning how to grow lettuce specifically. And we were able to take that lettuce and donate it to the community food bank and really make a difference with that, while also learning all the different things you can do and what you can mess with to see what different outcomes you'll get with your items. And we also did a little bit of deep water culture, like growing beets and radishes in water, which is a really cool way to grow your food. And then another one, I got to work. Sometimes your student projects in FFA can be your job. And so I like doing different things in the summer. And so one of them, I worked as a natural resources technician for Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District. And I got to use that as my student project, and I got to learn a lot about invasive weeds, terrestrial and our aquatic, one being Alodia, which is our huge aquatic invasive here in Alaska, and seeing how to test those, and all the way to learning about culverts and all the different things you can do with them.
Well, that's an interesting range. Yeah, very much so. Okay.
When it comes to my supervised agricultural experience, I've done things from working on mini bikes and rebuilding the engine of and then restoring to working on hydroponic systems like my sister just mentioned. But the one that stands out to me the most was a mentorship I underwent with a person who worked on 5 Series tractors at John Deere down in Kansas City. I worked with him for a little over a year on the study of drones in agriculture and the use of John Deere's AutoTrack, which utilizes geospatial technology to triangulate those specific positions. And I worked with him to write a prepared public speech, which is a competition in the FFA, which is an information-based 6 to 8 minute speech. And I worked with him to present that at our state convention.
Oh, cutting edge all the way around. Yeah, very, very nice. Well, we have you.
Yeah. So I've had several SAEs throughout the years, but my biggest one lasted the whole time I lived from up here with my parents. And so 2016 until 2023, we had bees on our front porch in a cul-de-sac. So, not exactly what people expect. They come over to my house and all of a sudden there are just 2 beehives sitting on our porch. And yes, it's on purpose. So every week, you'd have to go in and check with, just check on your hive, make sure queens are laying and that the hive looks healthy and it's growing. It was a really good time. One year we got 14 gallons of honey as a harvest, and it's a really good way, even if it's not a huge I'm growing all these things and I'm donating it or I'm selling it to the community. It's a good personal gift to give to people. We cultivated this hive and I'm sharing the product of my labors with you. And it was in a way it's very personal. And which you wouldn't think it was because it's just a million of bees on your porch. But
well, a question for you then. Were you successful or did you attempt to overwinter those hives?
We did try to winter them a couple of times, but it's very difficult in Alaska. It gets very cold, and bees can survive the winter because to stay warm, they will just get in one giant clump around the queen and they vibrate to stay warm. But with such long winters, it's just very difficult. So most people put them in a warehouse so that they have a chance to go out, fly around without it being too cold. But if you do winter your bees, you can't take the honey. You can't just give them sugar water over the winter. And so that kind of defeated the purpose of our goal with keeping bees.
Got it. Very, very well said. Thank you. Mike Chmielewski at Big Cabbage Radio in Palmer, Alaska, and I've been talking with four FFA officers, actually, and other advisor, and we've been looking at FFA and the kind of experiences that people can have if they're part of this. Well, if someone wanted to become part of this, what's the best way for them to do it? Should they call someone, go to a website? What can we say? Maybe we'll go back here.
Well, so if somebody wanted to get involved with FFA as a student, or if there are parents that want their children to get involved in FFA, the best thing to do is reach out to a local chapter, or to check out our website and reach out to me, and I can help you get in contact with an existing chapter, or help you figure out how to start a chapter at your current school. If you would like to visit our website, it is alaskaffa.org. And all of the contact information and any information you would need for starting a chapter is there, along with information about any of the schools currently that we have existing FFA chapters at.
Well, very good. Thank you. Well, that leads us, of course, the question of, do you happen to have any events coming up in the near future that you might want to talk about that will display or do other things?
So we in fact do have a very exciting event coming up. Some would say it is the FFA event of the year, and for myself, it most definitely is, and that would be our state convention. So the Alaska FFA State Convention runs April 15th through the 18th at the Glen Massey Theater here in Palmer, and it is an incredible opportunity for all FFA members within the state of Alaska to come together to one place. We host sessions where we recognize awards won throughout the convention and the year. We have keynote speakers who are there to engage with students about incredible opportunities and share wisdom. And there are, going on throughout the week, so many different competitions where students get to showcase the skills they have been working on. So I could talk for hours about it, so can all of my teammates, and I think there's something special about it for every single FFA member within the state. And it is just an incredible way to really get the big picture of what FFA is.
Okay, one more time then. Location, date, and time.
Yes. So the Alaska FFA State Convention, this is our 49th state convention. So we've been doing this for 49 years. Will be held at the Glen Massey Theater in Palmer from April 15th through the 18th.
Okay, and what time of the day does it run, or does it just run 24 hours?
Throughout the day, we have a session every day and then 2 on the 18th. And these sessions typically take place in the evening at the theater, and then on Friday there's one in the morning and one in the evening. Throughout the day, we have workshops and tours taking students to get to experience a lot of different industries in the area. And if you want more information and a full schedule, you can find it on our website at alaskaffa.org.
Okay, very good. Well, we have a few minutes left, not much, but a little bit. Is there any additional comments that any of you would like to make, either emphasizing something that has been said or perhaps saying something more for our listeners? Anything left? We've covered a lot of ground.
Well, before we bid adieu, I do really want to highlight just what FFA means to students. It's so easy to look at our program and just focus on one small part of it and be like, oh, it's only if you're interested in agriculture, or it's only if you have, this background with other FFA members. But really, it is an open opportunity to just about every student in the state of Alaska who has drive and wants to be able to go out into the world with leadership skills, with knowledge about different industries, and present themselves as capable people. And they're even now, as I begin to kind of move away from my FFA journey, I am so excited for what is ahead because I have all of these skills and all of this knowledge. And I just know that there are so many amazing people too who can support me, and all of that is because of FFA.
Okay, you're all nodding your heads as if you agree. Any other piece you would want to add or throw in before we finish, or has she captured it? Okay. Well, once again, thank you very much for a long time ago, for many of you, stepping into the participation and continuing on and being able to come in and so articulately talk about your experience, sharing that and what FFA has been for you and what could be for others. Stay well out there.
You've been listening to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska on Big Cabbage Radio. Ag Matters is a production of Radio Free Palmer, recorded at our studios in Palmer, Alaska. For more information about this program, email manager@radiofreepalmer.org.